Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we're super happy to have you here. And if you've been listening and enjoying for a while, I would be super grateful if you would please take a moment to give us a review on Apple Podcasts. It's one of the best and simplest ways to pay it forward and help others find the show so that they too can tap into the powerful perspectives and positive vibrations we are collectively emanating. The other unique and magical way to share this show is by sending any friends you think would benefit from listening to this podcast our Game with the Universe link at positivehead.com/game. Also listed in the show notes, which will serve them up a quote-unquote random episode when they click it. Just instruct them before clicking the link to close their eyes for a moment and sincerely ask the universe to cue up the episode that contains the insight and perspectives that they most need to hear at this point in their life journey, and then click to listen to whatever episode is synchronistically served up to them. I have heard time and time again from people about the incredible results they received playing the game. So just tell your friends magical results are guaranteed or their karma back. All right, all you positive heads, welcome, welcome. Here we go again. It is a magical Monday here in the studio as I record, and I'm grateful to be back with you. It's another chance to explore all these wonderful topics we get to explore on the show. And, today I was kind of thinking for a moment about what I wanted to talk about and had some thoughts on things to share. And then I thought about Friday's episode and, it was all about, I read from Journey of Souls, Michael Newton's book on a case study of life between lives, where he takes people through hypnosis and hears about their past lives, and then as they transition to the other side after death, what happens on the other side. And it was a really cool account of how someone chose a new body. That was episode 1943, if you want to go back and listen, just last Friday. So I think I'm going to hold off on what I was thinking about talking about. Maybe on Friday's episode, I'll explore those topics and just pick up right where I was reading, because I'm curious. I got to the next case, and then we ran out of time on Friday, and I want to hear more. So I figured you might want to hear more as well. So I'm going to just pick up right where I left off. Like I said, if you want to hear the first case study, delving into this process of choosing a new body when you're on the other side, then go to Friday. And then here's, this next one is case 27. It's I'll just go ahead and start reading. And of course, when I get to the point where the person is under hypnosis, I will sort of do my best to inflect my voice so you can tell it's the doctor asking a question and them under hypnosis answering and sharing, insights. So first, though, it just starts off with Dr. Newton kind of giving some precursor information to the actual hypnotherapy session. Case 27 is a Texas businessman who owns a large, successful clothing firm. During a vacation in California, Steve came to see me on the advice of a friend. As I took his history, I noticed he was tense and hypervigilant. While his fingers toyed with a keychain, Steve's eyes darted anxiously around my office. I asked if he was nervous or afraid of hypnosis as a procedure, and he replied, "No, I'm more afraid of what you will uncover." This client told me his employees were demanding and disloyal, and the multitude of personal complaints had become intolerable. His solution had been to increase discipline and fire people. I learned that he had 2 failed marriages and was a binge alcoholic. He said he had recently tried a recovery program, but quit because they were getting too critical of me. As we talked further, Steve explained that his mother disappeared after leaving him on the steps of a church in Texas within a week of his birth. After a few lonely and unhappy years in an orphanage, an older couple adopted him. He added that these people were stern disciplinarians who seemed to disapprove of him all the time. Leaving home in his teens, Steve had many scrapes with the law and once attempted suicide. I found this client's personality to be overly assertive and untrusting of authority. His anger was rooted in feelings of isolation and abandonment issues. Steve said he felt like he was losing control over his life and was willing to try anything to find the real me. I agreed to short-term exploration of his unconscious mind if he would consider seeing a therapist later in his own town for sustained counseling. As this case unfolds, we will see how Steve's soul maintains its identity while responding to physical life in a human body. The intensity of this association is increased in hypnosis when my subjects discuss their motives for body selection. One reason why I have used this case is to expose a difficult barrier to discovering our identity, that of childhood trauma. Souls who unite with people that develop early personality disorders deliberately set themselves up for a difficult life. Before taking my client into the spirit world to learn why his soul chose this life, it was necessary to relive his early childhood memories. In this short excerpt, which begins this case, this subject will see his real mother again. It is one of the most poignant scenes I've ever facilitated. Case 27. And he's talking to this guy as he's under hypnosis. Or I guess he's guiding him here through this process. You are now a baby in the first weeks of life, and your mother is seeing you for the last time. It doesn't matter that you are a baby because your inner adult mind knows everything that is going on. Describe to me exactly what transpires. Okay, so I guess he is under hypnosis. I wasn't quite sure what this process is. A little different than normal. So I'm in a basket. There is a faded blue blanket around me. I'm being set down on some steps. It's cold. Where are these steps? In front of a church in Texas. Who is setting you down on the church steps? My mother is bending down over me, saying goodbye. What can you tell me about your mother's reason for leaving you? She is young, not married to my father. He is already married. She is crying. I can feel her tears falling on my face. Look up at her. What else do you see? Flowing black hair. Beautiful. I reach up and touch her mouth. She kisses me. Soft, gentle. She is having a terribly hard time leaving me here. Did she say anything to you before leaving? I must leave you for your own good. I have no money to take care of you. My parents won't help us. I love you. I always love you and hold you in my heart forever. What happens then? She takes hold of a heavy door knocker. It has an animal on it and bangs on the door. We hear footsteps coming. Now she is gone. What do your inner thoughts tell you about all you have seen? Saying he's almost overcome by emotion as he's talking. Oh, she wanted me after all. Didn't want to leave me. She loved me. I place my hand on the subject's forehead and begin a series of post-hypnotic suggestions which end with the following instructions. Steve, you will be able to recall the subconscious memory in your conscious mind. You will retain this picture of your mother for the rest of your life. You now know how she truly felt about you and that her energy is still with you. Is this clear? Yes, it is. Now, move forward in time and tell me how you feel about your foster parents. Never satisfied with me. Made me feel guilty about everything. Controlling and judging me. Don't know who I am supposed to be. I'm not real. Tell me what is unreal about you. Pretending. Keep going. I'm not really in control. Constant anger. Mistreating people to get even. Hopelessness. After additional conditioning, I will now take my subject back and forth between his subconscious and superconscious mind. All right, Steve. Now let's go back to the time before your birth into this life. Tell me if you've ever lived in another life with the soul of your birth mother. Yes, I have. Was there ever a particular life you lived with the soul on Earth which involved any sort of physical or emotional pain between the two of you? Oh, damn. That's it. Of course. It's her. Try to relax and not go too fast for me. I want you to enter the life you see in your mind as the most crucial point in your relationship with the soul on the count of 1, 2, 3. Oh my, it's the same person, a different body, but she was my mother then too. Stay focused on the earth scene. Is it day or night? Broad daylight, hot sun and sand. Describe what is happening under the hot sun and the sand. I am standing in front of my temple, before a large crowd of people. My guards are in back of me. What is your name? Haroon. What are you wearing, Haroon? A long white robe and sandals. I have a staff in my hand with gold snakes on it as a symbol of my authority. What is your authority, Haroon? I am a high priest. Further inquiries revealed this man was a tribal leader who was located on the Arabian Peninsula, close to the Red Sea, around 2000 BC, in pre-classical times. This area was known as the Kingdom of Sheba. I also learned the temple was a large oval structure of mud bricks and stone dedicated to a moon god. What are you doing in front of your temple? I am on the steps judging a woman. She is my mother. She is kneeling down in front of me. There's a look of pity and fear in her eyes as she looks up at me. How can her eyes show both pity and fear at once? There's pity in her eyes because of the power which has consumed me, in taking so much control over the daily lives of my people. And there's fear, too, for what I am about to do. This disturbs me, but I must not show it. Why is your mother kneeling on the temple steps before you? She has broken into the storage house and stolen food to give to the people. Many are hungry at this time of year, but I alone can order distribution. The food must be measured out carefully. Did she act against some rule of food rationing? Was this a question of survival? There is more to this. Disobeying me, she is undermining my authority. I use the distribution of food as a means of control over my people. I want them all to be loyal to me. What are you going to do with your mother? My mother has violated the law. I can save her, but she must be punished as an example. I decide she will die. How do you feel about killing your own mother, Harun? It must be done. She has been a constant thorn in my side, causing unrest among my people because of her position. I cannot govern freely with her here any longer. Even now, she is defiant. I order her death by banging my staff on the stone steps. Later on, are you sad about ordering your mother's execution? I must not think about such things if I am to maintain power. At this point, Steve's mind had relived two emotionally wrenching events involving voluntary actions of separation between mother and son. Although he had made the karmic connection, it was important that his abandonment as a baby not be isolated as pure historic retribution. For healing to begin, we had to go further. The next stage in our session together was designed to recover Steve's soul identity. To do this, I took him to the spirit world. In each of my cases, I tried to bring the subject back to the most appropriate spiritual area to get the best results. In case 13, I used this place of orientation. With case 27, we will go back to relive the spiritual time just after his return from the place of life selection. In this setting, I want Steve to see the reasons for his current body choice and the role of other soul participants in his life. By what name are you known in the spirit world? Samus. All right, Samus. Since we are now in the spirit world again, I want us to go to the period just following your initial viewing of the man who is Steve. What are your thoughts? Such a resentful man. He is so angry about his mother dumping him on a doorstep, and those hard-nosed people who will take over as his parents. I don't know if I even want to take this body. I understand, but why don't we put that decision aside for a few minutes while other things develop? Tell me what you actually do once you leave the place of life selection. Sometimes I might want to be by myself for a while. Usually I'm anxious to have the opinions of my friends about the lives I look at, especially one this rough. Surely you had more than one body option. This is one I should take. It's a rough decision. Tell me, Samus, when you are back with your group of friends, do you discuss the possibility of yourself associating with some of them in the next life? Yes, more often than not, these close friends are going to be in my life to come, just as I will be in theirs. Some of my clutch will not be in certain lives. It doesn't matter. We all discuss our next life with each other. I want to get their ideas on details. You see, we all know each other so well, our strengths and weaknesses, former successes and failures, what to watch out for, that kind of thing. Did you discuss with them any details about the kind of person you should be in your next life before actually going to the place of life selection? Oh yeah, in a roundabout way. Nothing concrete. Now that I have seen Steve and who the others might be in relation to him in this life, there are reservations. So I talked to Jor. Is Jor your guide? Yes, he listened a lot to what I had to say about who I thought I should be before I was sent to the place where we look at lives. Okay, Sumas, you have just returned to your primary cluster group from the place of life selection. What do you do first? I talk about this guy Steve who is so unhappy. No real mother, all that stuff. What kinds of people will be around him? Their plans too. It must fit all together for us. You mean which souls are going to take certain bodies? Right, we need to firm that up. Are soul assignments still negotiable at this point, or is everyone told which body they will be in after leaving the place of life selection. No one is forced to do anything. We know what should be done. Jor and the others help us make adjustments. They are sent in to round out the picture. Is something bothering you at this moment, Sumis? My friends are moving away. There are others coming. Oh. I gather some deliberations are about to occur with other souls. Try to relax as best as you can. On my command, you will clearly relate to me everything that is happening. Do you understand? Yes. Begin. How many entities do you see? There are 4 of them, coming over to me. Jor is one of them. Who is first? It's Eon. She wants to be my mother again. Is this the soul of the woman who is Harum's and Steve's mother? Yes, she is. Oh, I don't want to. What's going on? Eon is telling me it's time for us to settle things, to be in a disordered life as mother and son again. But Sumis, didn't you know this at the place of life selection when you viewed Steve's mother taking her baby to the church? I saw the people, the possibility. It was still an abstract consideration. It wasn't actually me yet. I guess I need more convincing because Eon is here for a reason. I take it none of these newly arrived entities are from your own clutch? No, they are not. Why did you and Eon wait 4,000 years before discussing a balancing out of your treatment of her in Arabia? Earth years mean nothing. It could have been yesterday. I just wasn't ready to offset the harm I did to her as Harum. She says the circumstances are right for this exercise now. If your soul joins with the body of Steve in Texas, will Eon consider this karmic payment for your debt? My life as Steve is not supposed to be punishment. I'm glad you see that. So what is the lesson to be learned? To feel what desertion is like in a family relationship. Deliberate severing. The severing of the mother and son bond by deliberate action. Yes, to appreciate what it is like to be cast off. Allow Eon to move away and have the other entities join us, Sumis. Eon is floating back to Jor coming forward. Oh shit, it's Talu and Kalish. Who are they? Talu and Kalish have volunteered to be my foster parents. They work together a lot. What's the problem then? I just don't want them again so soon. Slow down for me, Sumis. You have worked with these souls before? Yes, but they are so hard for me to be with, especially Kalish. It's too soon. They were my in-laws in the German life. Note, we digress for a few minutes while Sumis briefly explains a past life in Europe as a high-ranking army officer who neglected his family and was the object of scorn from his wife's influential parents. Are you saying that Talu and Kalish lack the capability for the assignment of being your foster parents in Texas? Shakes head with resignation. No, they know what they are doing. It's just that with Kalish, it's always a rough ride. She chooses to be people who are critical, demanding, cold. Does she always present that sort of behavior in human bodies? Well, that's her style with me. Kalish is not a soul who engages easily with others. She's independent and very determined. How about Talu, as your adoptive father? Stern, allows Kalish to lead, can be too detached, emotionally private. I'm going to really rebel against them this time. Okay, but will they teach you something? Yes, I know they will, but I'm still arguing about it. Jor and Eon come over. What do you say next at this conference? I want Eon to be my foster mother. They all laugh at me. Jor won't buy my explanations. He knows I'm close to Eon. Do they make fun of you, Sumis? Oh no, it's not that way at all. Talu and Kalish question my reluctance to tackle my faults with them. Well, I was getting the impression you thought these souls were ganging up on you to force a decision to join with the Texas baby. That's not how it goes here. We're discussing my misgivings about the life itself. But I thought you didn't like Talu and Kalish. They know about me. I need strict people or I ride over them. Everyone here sees I have a tendency to indulge myself. They convince me an easy life without them will be like treading water. Both of them are very disciplined. Well, it sounds like you have about made up your mind to go with them into the Texas life. Yes, they are going to make a lot of demands on me as a child. Kalish sarcastic, Talu a perfectionist, losing Eon. It's going to be a rough ride. What will playing these roles of your parents do for Talu and Kalish? Kalish and Talu are in different configurations than me. I'm not supposed to get all muddled up in their business. It has something to do with their being rigid people and overcoming pride. When you are on Earth, Does your soul mind always know the reason why certain people who influence you positively or negatively are significant in your life? Yes, but that doesn't mean the person I am in this life understands what my spirit knows. That's what we should be able to figure out on Earth. Which is what we are doing now? Yeah, and I'm cheating a little with you helping, but it's okay. I can use it. It does seem an enigma that the knowledge of who we really are as souls is so difficult for many of us to reach through our conscious minds. By now, I'm sure the reader has discerned that even in a superconscious state, we do retain the ability to observe ourselves with a portion of the critical center of our conscious mentality. Assisting clients in reaching their inner selves by linking all facets of the mind is the most important part of my work in hypnotherapy. I want Steve to gain insight into the motives for his behavior by understanding his soul. The dialogue which follows provides us with further disclosures as to why Sumis integrated into Steve's body. The spiritual conference with Jor, Eon, Tulu, and Kalish is over, and I have taken Sumis to a quiet setting in the spirit world for this discussion. Tell me, Sumis, how much of who you really are as a soul identity is reflected in the human beings you have occupied? Quite a lot, but no two bodies are alike. Good body and soul mergers don't always happen, you know. I remember some of my former bodies more fondly than others. Would you say your soul dominates or is subordinated by the human brain? That's difficult to answer because there are subtle differences with the brain of each body which affects how we exhibit ourselves from that body. A human would be pretty vacant without us. We treat Earth bodies with respect, though. What do you think human beings would be like without souls? Oh, dominated by senses and emotions. And you believe each human brain causes you to react differently? Well, that which I am is able to utilize some bodies better than others. I don't always feel fully attached to a human being. Some physical emotions are overpowering, and I'm not so effective. Such as the high level of rage displayed by Steve's temperament, perhaps affected by the central nervous system of his body. Yes, we inherit these things. But you knew what Steve would be like before you chose his body. That's right, and it's typical of how I can make a bad situation worse. I am able to interpret only when the storms of the human mind are quiet, and yet I want to be stormy people. What do you mean by interpret? Interpret ideas, make sense out of Steve's reaction to turmoils. To be frank, Sumis, you sound like a stranger inside Steven's body. I'm sorry to give you that impression. We don't control the human mind. We try by our presence to elevate it to see, meaning in the world, and to be receptive to morality, to give understanding. That's all very well, but you use human bodies for your own development too, don't you? Sure, it's a blending. We give and take with our energy. Oh, you tailor your energy to fit a host body? It would be better to say I use different facets of expression depending on the emotional drives of each body. Let's get specific, Sumis. What is going on between you and Steve's brain at this time on Earth? I have felt submerged. Sometimes my energy is tired and unresponsive to so much negativity. Looking back to your choice of Harum, Steve, and those other human bodies in between, do they all have traits in common which attracted you? I am a contact entity. I seek humans who involve themselves aggressively with others. When I hear the word aggression, this means hostility to me as opposed to being assertive. Is that what you intended to say? Well, I'm attracted to those who influence other people. Vigorously, at full tilt. Are you a soul who enjoys controlling other people? I wouldn't say control exactly. I avoid choosing to be people who have no intense involvement with those around them. Sumis, aren't you being controlling when you try to direct other souls in their lives? No response. What would Jor say about your human relationships? That I like power as a means of influencing the acts of humans who are decision makers. That I crave social and political groups where I lead. So you would not enjoy being in a human body which was quiet and unassuming? Definitely not. Sumis, isn't it true you took pleasure in the way you were a part of Harum's misuse of power in Arabia, and that you gained satisfaction as Steve from mistreating your employees in Texas? No, that isn't true. Things get out of hand easily when you try to lead humans. It's the conditions on Earth which screw everything up. It isn't all my fault. Is it possible that both Harum and Steve became more extreme in their conduct because your soul was with them? I haven't done well. I know that. Look, Sumis, I hope you know, I don't think you're a bad soul, but maybe you are easily seduced by the trappings of human authority, and you have now become someone who feels in conflict with society. You are beginning to sound like Jor. I don't presume to be doing that, Sumis. Perhaps Jor is helping us both to understand what is going on inside you. Probably. Steve and I have reached a productive stage of contact with the soul. I address this subject as if he were two people, while tightening the bowstring between his conscious and unconscious self. After applying additional conditioning to pull these two forces close together, I close our session with a final series of questions. It is important his mind not be allowed to drift or his memories to become dissociated. To foster responsiveness, my questions are confrontive and spoken rapidly to increase the tempo of my subject's answers. Sumis, begin by telling me why you originally accept Steve's body. To rise above my attraction for leading others, always wanting to be in charge. Is your soul identity in conflict with the direction Steve's life has taken? I don't like that part of him, which is fighting to be on top and, at the same time, having thoughts of escape by self-destruction. Is this a contradiction for you? Why does it exist? Childhood. Sadness. Who am I listening to now? Sumis, why aren't you more active in helping yourself, as Steve, overcome the shame of abandonment by Eon and your anger from an unloving childhood with Tulu and Kalish? I am grown now and managing others. Won't let people hurt me anymore. Sumis, if you and Steve are now speaking to me as one intelligence, I want to know why your lifestyle is so self-destructive. Because my weakness is using power for self-preservation on Earth. Do you feel if you were less controlling of people as an adult, life would revert to the way you were treated as a child? Yes. And when you don't get self-gratification from the body of your choice, what do you do as a soul? I tune out. I see. And how is this accomplished, Sumis? By not being too active. Because you are intimidated by a body in an emotional tailspin? Well, I go into a shell. So you use avoidance in not actively dealing with the major lesson you came to Earth to learn. Steve, your adoptive parents were rough on you, weren't they? Yes. Do you now see why? To know what being constantly judged is like. What else? To overcome and be whole. I don't know. I think you do know, Steve. Tell me about the damaged self you presented to people around you. Pretending to be happy, covering up my feelings by drinking and mistreating people. Do you want to stop this cover-up and go to work? Yes, I do. Define who you really want to be. We don't want to be hostile to people. We don't want to risk being a non-person without respect or recognition either. So you're on a fence. Yes, life is painful. Do you think this is an accident? No, I see it isn't. Steve and Sumis, repeat after me. I'm going to give back the pain of Eon, Tulu, and Kalish, which they gave to me for my own good, and get on with my life, becoming the identity I really want to be. Subject repeats these words 3 times for me. Steve, what are you going to do about revealing yourself in the future and taking responsibility for improvement? Learn to be more honest and to trust that you are not a victim of society. Yes? And to trust that you're not a victim of society? Yes. This case ended with my reinforcing Steve's understanding of who he really is and his mission in life. I wanted to help liberate him as a person of value with a contribution to make in society. We talked about his love and fear choices, as well as his necessity to get in touch with himself frequently. I felt we had laid the groundwork for his dealing with resentment and a lack of intimacy. I reminded Steve of the need for follow-up counseling. About a year later, he wrote to tell me his recovery is going well and that he had found the lost child within himself. Steve realized his past mistakes were not failures, but the means to improvement. Case 27 demonstrates how the hard tasks we set for ourselves often begin in childhood. This is why considerable weight is given to family selection by the soul. The idea that each of us voluntarily agreed to be the children of a given set of parents before we came into this life is a difficult concept for some people to accept. Although the average person has experienced love from his or her parents, many of us have unresolved, hurtful memories of those near to us who should have offered protection and did not. We grow up thinking of ourselves as victims of biological parents and family members whom we inherited without any choices in the matter. This assumption is wrong. All right, I'm going to stop there for today. That was quite the journey. He definitely hasn't had that soul definitely hasn't had a trajectory for the faint of heart. Can you imagine having the power and choosing to put your mother to death? Like, wow, that's a lot of emotional karmic baggage. No wonder he's struggling so much. That's intense. What a fascinating concept, though, and perspective to see and explore and understand, and it really helps to give a lot of, you think about all the dysfunctional people out there, and a lot of times we're just like so quick to judge. It's such a natural thing to like judge them at face value at the surface, and meanwhile we have no idea of not only this lifetime but the previous lifetimes that are playing into the composite of who and what they are and how they're showing up. And I think I think it's very, very true. The universe will reflect back whatever grace we offer to others, that will be reflected back to us. And it's the not only most prudent thing to do, but the most loving thing to do for ourselves as well, right? For the others and self, because it will be reflected back. So that's what I love about these books, and they're just expanding our perspective on how vast this story of our soul's journey truly is. Alrighty, folks, that's the story for today. Hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. And I do have a song to leave you with. I played a remix by Charisma the other day, so I'm going to play another one. And that's spelled with a K, by the way, Koresma. This one's called Off Shores. Hope you enjoy. Until next time, journey well.